So this is a castle nut with a cotter pin on the back of it. This is a Yamaha style prop. Your Merc Cruiser is going to be somewhat the same on the Alpha drives and on the outboards. It's got a different clip on here, but it's going to be somewhat the same. But for right now, we're just going to talk about this Yamaha one.
So using a needle nose pliers to get in there and pull that cotter pin out, or what'd you call it?
Yep, cotter pin.
Okay.
And then the castle nut.
Oh, the castle nut. Okay, that's the.
And these nuts do not have to be wrenched on there, guys. Just going over that.
The cotter pin is there to keep it in
Correct.
place.
I mean, you see how there is nothing even on it. Like that's as tight as it needs to be. And your only thing to be aware of is that you have washers and a cup on this one that helps space the prop out. So just be aware of this when you're taking this stuff off.
Pay attention to the order. This is one reason I'm not good at this is I just start ripping stuff off. Pay attention to the order. Take pictures if you need to on yours, but this gives you an idea. What do you call this?
This is just a internal washer.
Internal washer. Then you've got that spacer nut or spacer washer.
Yep.
And then you've got your castle nut, and then you've got your cotter pin that's going to be, hey, this isn't coming off kind of situation.
And then the prop comes off.
Now this is your prop shaft,
and this is your thrust washer right here. And this protects the prop from eating your gear case, because if this wasn't there, it would spin right into the gear case.
Into it.
Actually, last year we had a boat. We had one of Hunter's guys. It was a Sunday. Nobody was around. They changed the prop themselves, pulled the prop out. This must have been stuck to the back of the prop when they pulled it out. Put the new one on. It ate this whole gear case up.
So we've got, you can see right here, you've got some water in there, but there's a seal. You want to talk about the seals and what's all going on in here?
Yep. So just how, like we just refilled that gear case, there's oil in the back of here. And these seals what keep that oil in. What'll happen is fishermen fishing around the dock, fishing around your boat, they'll snag their line, it'll get snagged on your lower unit, and it won't just be like a little piece of fishing line, it'll be 4 feet of it. And then you go to your boat that weekend, start your boat up, go for a ride, and it'll just suck it in there.
And it gets wrapped around. You can see that prop is just like right here. There's a little space for it to get around, and
it'll eat this seal right up.
And then you start losing your gear lube, and you don't know because you don't have a gear lube monitor on anything but a Merc Cruiser.
Correct.
You have no idea it's happening until bad things start happening. So pulling that prop, how long would it take for a piece of fishing line to get all the way wrapped around? I mean, it's not going to be days.
If the fishing line's there, it could do it that day.
Oh, really? Okay, so it is that quick. But it's just a good practice to check that, especially if you're on a body of water where there's a lot of fishing. You know, somebody respools their line and that gets in the water somehow. You can just be cruising by and potentially get caught. It is common.
Correct.
I mean, how many boats a year do you see that have at least some fishing line wrapped up in there?
I mean, I would probably say 25% of boats.
Yeah, so it's common enough that it's something to be aware of. And if your lake is a big fishing lake, I would say even more so worth pulling that prop every now and again. You see how easy it is. Anything else that you're looking?
Sometimes you will get lucky and it won't ate into that seal yet.
Right.
And you can just unwrap it and you're good to go.
Yeah. Anything else that you're looking for in here?
Not really. This is all. I mean, this is all the retaining ring, the lock. This all holds the carrier in.
And that's a gear
stays
set
there. That you would never do anything with that unless you were rebuilding the lower unit.
Talk a little bit about the prop itself, the prop hub specifically. You hear people say, hey, my RPM is going, but I'm not moving anywhere. I'm going 3,000 RPM, but my boat's not moving.
So this is a pressed-in hub in this prop here, which means that the factory presses the hub inside the prop, and it's glued in there.
Okay.
This little bit of rubber gives it a little bit of give, but that's the hub. So imagine this would just be spinning in here when the glue let loose because you hit something hard enough or it was just time and it happened, and this hub spins. So essentially, your shaft, everything's still fine. You're spinning. Your prop's just sitting here on the shaft going nowhere.
Yeah, and it may be going a little bit, but it's not moving the boat.
Always the first thing Always the first thing to check is a spun hub.
A spun hub, and you would check that by pulling the prop and checking it, or can you check it while it's on the...
So sometimes you can. Sometimes the telltale lie, if you really have a real bad one, is to just keep the motor in this position, shift it into forward, and try to spin the prop.
Okay.
And if you can...
Try to spin the prop with not with your hands.
Yeah, no. That's what, no, yes.
Well, okay, yeah. Remember, some people do dumb things.
So...
And he's saying, motor off.
Running, motor tilted up. And so, when you have it in gear, your prop's always going to lock one way. It's usually to the left.
Yeah.
I can't spin the prop right now.
Prop hub is good.
Well, sometimes...
Prop hub is not totally blown.
Right, sometimes. So that's the way I kind of try to tell at first. Sometimes you do have to pull them out and really check them out to see, but if it's a really bad one, this would just spin right now.
Okay, that's a good first check of, is that maybe an issue?
Yep.
Again, motor off, gear shifter in forward gear, tilted up, do it. Okay, so now we're ready to put it back on. Are you going to grease anything
I'm going to put a little
up?
bit of grease on there. I'm not a big fan of taking grease onto these because it doesn't really do anything to it. So
Same in salt water?
yes, I mean there is a thing is too much grease, and then it just makes it nasty for everybody else to work on your stuff. I mean, this is the amount of grease I'm going to put on this thing. That's it.
Okay.
The other thing grease likes to do, and this is also a debated fact for many years, grease likes to collect dirt. So dirt gets collected in there. You get into the sand. Sand's going to get in there.
Interesting.
And these props on these boats, they get changed quite often because we rent the boats out. So,
Yeah. So you've got your thrust washer, prop, and then you kind of just spin it until it hits those splines right, slides right on all the way down. Make sure the prop is on the right way. The little
I mean, you can't really put it on the wrong.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
I mean, you could, but you would know right away. Like if you ever put the prop on like this, I mean, we're gonna know something's weird at that point.
So your bolt's gonna look a little different. So again, I like you're doing it for the first time. Take a picture of it at different stages to remind you. Oh yeah, and don't make a silly mistake that's gonna be end you up on a boat fail video or put somebody in danger. All right. So now we've got the. What'd you call this again? The first one?
Thrust washer.
Thrust washer, prop.
We grease the shaft.
Grease the shaft. Check for any line. And now you're going to put your, what'd you call that?
This is just a space. I'm going to call these spacers.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some kind of cool, really term for it, but I'm just going to call them spacers for the sake of not being wrong about them.
Okay. And you see the direction that they're going. So this one's coming out. That one is the flat end because you're going to put the castle washer or castle bolt there. Hand tighten plus a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I turn it just a little bit. But you got to line this hole up for the cotter pin. So that's the.
So if you see that cotter pin hole is top one.
Huh? No, that's. Yeah, you're about to see it right here.
Okay,
so I'm literally just going to turn the nut just enough so that hole's going to stick out. And then you just want to make sure you don't have a lot of play in here. And I might actually go one more just because.
And then you want to make sure that let's see, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it or not, but you can see that hole so you can stick that cotter pin through, and that's going to be that nut's not moving at all.
Unless the cotter pin falls out.
Well, unless the cotter pin, again, another reason, if you're a boater, do these inspections before you hit the water.
And you might catch a bad mechanic, just someone that's not giving you a good service also.
Yep. It's so knowing what that should look like, and knowing that 10-cent cotter pin could keep me from breaking down on the water. And then again, you see how Mike is kind of bending it and then bending it again so that it's not something to get hung up on to catch a toe on if you're swimming, and bending it in a way that's locked on good and tight.
But it doesn't have to be all the way over either, because that makes it a pain in the butt to get it off. So that ain't going anywhere.
So you've got you can see a little. You shake that up and down for me. Maybe less than 1/8 of an inch play, but a little bit of play is fine.
Yep.
Not too sloppy.
because then we're going to have something wrong internally if you
Yeah.
do. But so this little spot, believe it or not, is where all the fishing line ends up in there. Is this little spot is
Yeah.
where it ends up getting sucked through there.
So you won't see it, but if you pull the boat out on the trailer, do a quick check. You put it up on the lift, do a quick check. You pull into your slip, lift that motor up, and do a quick check. And you can avoid that problem. Like you said, 25% of the time he sees it, and that is putting on and replacing a prop.